from Lake Lambert. And where Lake Lambert used to be, there's playgrounds and other green spaces and few homes, but it's no longer considered lake, and what's left of Lake Lambert is now a wetland complex.
Okay, you're from St. Paul? Now you know a little bit about the history of your town and your drinking water, huh? So when you go back and when you get a sip of water or you flush the toilet, you'll know the source.
Any other questions?
So, so what's the...
Know anything about Coon Rapids, since you said something about St. Paul?
Coon Rapids and their water or area, no, but the Coon Rapids community is quite old. It actually originally started as a Dakota community, and so that area was actually a major trade hub, because it's at Coon Rapids where people had to get off the Mississippi and portage around the rapids, just as people had to portage around what's now considered St. Anthony Falls in Minneapolis. Also, Coon Rapids was a staging ground for people to then get ready to go either up or just coming back down the Rum River, which allows us to have a shortcut to go north, opposed to having the Mississippi, following the Mississippi, which will take you way west and back east as you're heading north or south.
And these are like traditional trade routes?
These are traditional trade routes. People? Yes. Mille Lacs was also a very important trade route, because on the north end was what's called the one portage that'll take you directly to Aiken, and to the southwest is what's called the Cedar portage that allowed people to then have ready access to Knife River and eventually to the Snake River and to the St. Croix River. And St. Croix being a major river that connected the Mississippi with Lake Superior. Yes?
So Lake George was dredged, so would it be considered a lake then?
It would be considered, if it's dredged, it would be considered a reservoir. It's considered a reservoir if you have any way that you're increasing the water size, the capacity, either because of damming or significant dredging.
You know, you mentioned Leech Lake,
Red Lake,
and then Mille Lacs, and then Gull Lake. Yeah, we saw the burial mounds there. So we can make the observation that along many of these places of water, settlements, human settlements were there. And so obviously water was, I mean, not only it's essential for the needs of the people, but also in terms of trade, commerce, and then I guess when we go to the museum, we'll see how it affected culture and things like that. Can you say something about that?
Well, water is important. How many of you think you could live without water? Okay.
Can we replace it with Mountain Dew?
That has water.
That has water in it.
Yeah. So the answer is none of us could live without water. We are dependent on water. And so
we can only go 3 days without water.
That's
3 weeks without food.
That's right. And plus, our bodies tend to store food as fat, so we could go a long time without food, but we can't go for a long time without water. So yes, any place where you have water, either lake water or stream water, and if they happen to be in a ready access for trade, or a good place that'll keep the people safe, those areas tend to sustain communities, and that's not just here but throughout the world, and which is also one of the reasons why you find major cities all along the Great Lakes, all along the coastline, because that's where you had the water, that's where you had areas that kept people safe and allowed for trade and commerce to develop. And transportation. Before you had freeways, the waterways was your interstate highways. It allowed you to move cargo quickly We might consider that slow, but it's a lot faster than walking or trying to haul a wagon if you had a wagon. So the waterways were very important for promoting trade and commerce. This lake, however, we'll be seeing significant changes in the near future because of an unintended invasive species that have recently made its way and made the lake its home, the zebra mussel.
Oh, yeah. About that.
The zebra mussels are now being found in certain areas just north of our University Point, which is where our main settlement village here for the Mille Lacs Band is. But from between that point and Garrison is where they found zebra mussels. They're trying to slow the growth and the expansion of the zebra mussel colonies without too much success. The lake is really large, so it'll take a while before the zebra mussels will overtake the lake. But that is a new challenge that we're now facing with Mille Lacs Lake.
So don't zebra mussels like choke fish and other like things in the water?
They don't choke fish, but what they do is they eat large amount of plankton and phytoplanktons out of the water. So once you take all those small animals out of the water, the smaller fishes and other small invertebrates who feed on these small creatures no longer have food. So then their population decline. And then you also have fish that feed on them, and so then they're not able to eat, so then their population decline. Also, certain areas of the lake are a little murky. So what that does is it allows for fish to have cover. Without the phytoplankton, what happens is the water becomes extremely clear, and some fish become overheated and they can't survive and they'll die. Others will become readily seen and will be more readily fished by birds of prey, such as eagles. And so then their population will also decrease.
And also, there's another thing going around Minnesota, the emerald ash borer. Have you seen anything like that around this area?
Kelly?
We have. Have you guys seen them big purple triangular things hanging up in trees lately?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Those are emerald ash borer detection sites. What's in that is it's a big sticky trap on the inside, and there's a pheromone that the adult beetle puts out when it's ready to breed. So it kind of tricks the emerald ash borer into thinking, okay, if I go in there, it's breeding time, but it's really not. They get stuck to like a honey-like, glue-like surface. And what will happen now is APHIS, the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service, through the USDA will analyze all of that data, and they'll open up them things and go through all of the insects that are stuck in there and determine if there was emerald ash borer in this area. Emerald ash borer is pretty dangerous. I don't know if we're by any ash trees right here. I could show you one. Yeah, right here. Here's an ash tree right here. This is a green ash right here. And it's a native tree. And what happens is the ash borer comes in and it lays its eggs around the bark at the base and around mid-level on the tree. The grubs hatch out, they burrow in, and then they'll make a network around the phloem of the tree. And who can guess what that does to the tree? Yeah. It's like going like this to us because it's cutting off our supply. The roots pull in all of the water and the nutrients from the soil, and when it gets to where the grub is at, the grub has girdled that area just inside the bark so that nutrients can't go up the tree and the top of the tree dies there. In fact, I see them dead branches there, and that might be a cause for suspicion that there might be emerald ash borer in this. So that's what you look for. You look for big chunks of the tree to die, and then you look for a D-shaped exit wound. So if you ever buy an ash tree, check it out and see if there's a D-shaped exit wound on the tree, and that's where the adult beetle will come out of. Yep.
Physically, it's going to be a kind of funny question, but does the emerald ash borer physically, can they do anything to us?
They can't really do anything to us. They're just their damage is mainly through their larval stage of ash trees. And it appears they're not selective about which species of ash that they prefer. They like the black ash, the white ash, the green ash, all the species of ash. So who knows where we're at with that one. It might be something, you know, unless we pump all the trees full of chemicals, we may be losing many of our ash trees here in Minnesota.
So is there like anything that like you can see the muscles or the ash?
There are different ways, you know, there's two ways you can look at dealing with an invasive. You can use a chemical approach, you can use a mechanical approach.